One of the strangest objects ever seen in our solar system, this barely visible dot in the image may be older than the Sun itself. Its age is estimated at 10 to 12 billion years. This interstellar visitor passed through our system at incredible speed, and it will never return. Most amazing part is that scientists were able to read its past without ever touching it. This was not just a comet. This was a fragment of an ancient history from another star system. To tell you all about it, here's our balding host, Denzel.
Imagine you're looking at a tiny blur in space. Nothing dramatic, just a pale moving dot. But that dot may be 10 to 12 billion years old, more than twice the age of the Sun. And for a few months, it passed through our solar system, carrying ice from before Earth existed. Its name was 3I Atlas. On July 1st, 2025, a telescope in Rio Hurtado, Chile spotted something moving against the stars. The telescope was part of ATLAS, a system built to catch objects that could one day hit Earth. Most of the time, that means rocks that belong to our own solar system, asteroids, comets, small bodies circling the Sun like everything else. But this one didn't fit. At first, it was just another faint point in the data. Then, astronomers measured its path, and the path was wrong. Not wrong as in bad math, wrong as in this object wasn't looping around the Sun at all, it was cutting through. After the discovery, scientists went back through older images, and there it was again. NASA found observations going back to June 14, 2025. TESS had seen it even earlier, from May 7th to June 2nd, almost 2 months before the official discovery. Picture that for a second. A visitor from another star system was already inside our neighborhood, already crossing the map, and we didn't know what it was yet. Then came the number that made the case hard to ignore, an orbital eccentricity of about 6.1. For a normal comet, the path bends around the Sun. For 3I Atlas, the path was more like a slash through a page. That single fact turned a faint dot into a cosmic crime scene. It wasn't arriving for a visit, it was passing through the solar system once, and then leaving forever. No return trip. To understand why that matters, you need to know how rare this is. Before 3I Atlas, humanity had confirmed only 2 interstellar objects. The first was 1I Oumuamua in 2017. The second was 2I Borisov in 2019. That's it. 2 confirmed visitors from outside the solar system in all of modern astronomy. So when 3I Atlas appeared, scientists didn't treat it like just another comet. They treated it like a sample from somewhere we can't visit. Now, let's be clear. This wasn't a doomsday object. It never came close to hitting Earth. Its nearest approach was about 270 million kilometers away, the kind of distance where our planet and the object would barely fit in the same simple drawing without cheating the scale. So no, this wasn't the next Chicxulub. It wasn't a disaster movie. But that's what makes it better. Because danger is only one kind of cosmic story. The other kind is information. And 3I Atlas was carrying information from a place beyond the Sun's family. It was also moving fast, about 209,000 kilometers per hour. Fast enough that on any normal map of Earth, it would cross whole countries before you had time to explain what you were looking at. It wasn't drifting, it was tearing through. And here's the honest part. Scientists didn't know everything. They still didn't have a clean, direct measurement of the solid nucleus. Estimates ranged from about 320 meters to 5.6 kilometers wide, from a tall city skyline to a mountain-sized object. The age, too, wasn't stamped on the surface. It had to be read indirectly from chemistry, motion, and light. Around October 30th, 2025, it reached its closest point to the Sun, about 1.4 astronomical units away, near the orbit of Mars. That's when sunlight started doing the most important work in this story. It warmed the comet, not with sound, with gas, dust, and frozen material escaping into space. And finally, the comet began to talk. The first big clue came from Hubble. On July 21st, 2025, Hubble looked at 3A Atlas from about 277 million miles away. That's so far that even calling it a photograph feels generous. You're not seeing a clean close-up of a rock. You're seeing light from a tiny object wrapped in dust across a distance that turns worlds into pixels. But Hubble saw enough. Around the hidden nucleus was a teardrop-shaped cloud of dust. That mattered. It meant 3A Atlas wasn't just a dead stone from another star. It was acting like a comet. Sunlight was heating it, ice was changing into gas, and dust was lifting away from the surface. Then the object moved into a bad place for Earth-based telescopes. From our point of view, it was too close to the sun's glare. Imagine trying to watch a candle flame held next to a spotlight. You know it's there, you just can't see it cleanly. But Mars had a better seat. In late September and early October 2025, spacecraft around Mars watched the visitor while Earth struggled. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter saw it on October 2nd from about 29.9 million kilometers away. You know it's there, you just can't see it cleanly. Close in spacecraft terms, but still a distance so huge it could swallow the width of Earth thousands of times over. HiRISE, the camera famous for sharp Mars images, could only see it at about 30 kilometers per pixel. One pixel covered the length of a small city. Still, that was useful. MAVEN looked in ultraviolet light and saw hydrogen around the comet on September 28 and October 9. Hydrogen can be a sign that water is being broken apart by sunlight. PERSEVERENCE watched from the surface of Mars, turning a rover built for rocks and dust into a witness to an interstellar flyby. Think about that. A machine sitting on another planet looked up and saw a visitor from another star. This is the part that makes the story feel less like one discovery and more like a chase. 3I Atlas wasn't going to slow down for anyone. It wasn't going into orbit. It wasn't giving scientists a second season. Every telescope had a window, and every window was closing. So the observing campaign became a relay race across the solar system. One instrument saw dust, another saw hydrogen, another saw heat, another saw gases that the human eye could never pick out. And that's the only reason the story works. No single image solved it. No single spacecraft had the whole answer. The object was too far, too fast, and too temporary. Then came SPHEREx. By December 2025, after the comet had swung past the sun, SPHEREx saw the object brighten. Not a little. It showed a glowing cloud with water, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and organic molecules like methanol, cyanide, and methane. SPHEREx also gave scientists a way to think about the timing. Organic molecules don't mean biology. They mean carbon-based chemistry. Space can make those without a single living cell. SPHEREx also gave scientists a way to think about the timing. The comet didn't simply wake up the instant it reached the sun. It brightened afterward, as if sunlight had to soak through the surface before deeper ice started escaping. Like a frozen bottle left near a heater. At first, nothing. Then cracks, then pressure, then gas. And all of this was still just the warm-up. Hubble showed the dust. Mars gave a side view. MAVEN saw hydrogen. SPHEREx saw the comet erupt into infrared light. But none of those clues told the deepest part of the story. The real fingerprint, the one that pointed to a birthplace older than the sun, came from Webb, after the sun did its work. Webb didn't scoop up a sample. It didn't land on the comet. It didn't touch anything. It read the light. That's the almost ridiculous part. A telescope more than 1 million kilometers from Earth, farther than 3 trips to the moon, looked at gas escaping from a tiny interstellar comet, and inside that light, scientists found a chemical passport. The first clue was water. Not just water, but heavy water. Webb's NIRSPEC instrument found a deuterium to hydrogen ratio of about 0.98%. That sounds tiny, less than 1%, about 30 times higher than what scientists see in comets born inside our solar system. This water didn't look local. Then came carbon. The ratios of carbon isotopes in carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide also looked unusual. Not random. Not magic, just different enough 3A Atlas formed in a colder, older environment than the one that made our comets. And that's how scientists got to the big number, 10 to 12 billion years old. That's not just older than Earth, it's older than the sun, older than every mountain, every ocean, every fossil, every living thing this planet has ever made. If the estimate is right, 3A Atlas formed when the Milky Way itself was much younger. Now, here's where we have to be honest. No one carved a date into this comet. Scientists didn't measure its birthday directly. They inferred it from chemistry, motion, and models of how the galaxy changed over time. So 12 billion years isn't a label. It's a best scientific read. But even with that caution, the picture is wild. This object may have formed in a place colder than 30 Kelvin, about minus 243 degrees Celsius. That's not freezer cold, that's not Antarctica cold, that's deep space cold, only a few dozen degrees above absolute zero, where chemistry moves like it's half asleep. And then, after billions of years in the dark, it passed near our sun. The surface warmed, ice escaped, gas spread around it. Webb caught the light, and for a brief moment, this ancient visitor gave away where it came from. Not by speaking, by melting. And now, 3i Atlas is leaving. That's the quiet part of the story. No explosion, no impact, no final close-up. Just a dark object moving back into interstellar space, carrying the rest of its history away from us. But it changed something before it left. It proved that our solar system isn't sealed. It's more like a room with the lights on, and once in a while, something from the dark outside passes through the doorway. Most of the time, we probably miss it. Too small, too faint, too fast. This time, we didn't. We saw the dot. We measured the path. We watched the ice wake up. And for a few months, a piece of another star system gave us a sample of time itself. So the scary question isn't, will one of these hit us? Not today. The better question is, how many ancient worlds have already passed through our sky while no one was looking? Because 3A Atlas was only the third one we've confirmed, not the third one that exists, the third one we noticed.